And welcome into another Garnet Trust exclusive special guest today, Parker White. This is, of course, presented by our good friends at 360 Clean. We appreciate them. Parker's got his 360 Clean hoodie on right there, as you see on the screen. Those guys, there it is. Yep. They've done an outstanding job of supporting Garnet Trust and supporting USC student athletes. And today, they wanted for you guys, Gamecock fans, to hear from Parker White. He is South Carolina's all-time leading scorer. Parker, in the Mayo Bowl, the Duke's Mayo Bowl there in Charlotte, you hit that number, that 360, which is kind of the tie-in here, 360 clean, and you got your 360th point on that first field goal of the game. So you had the PAT, then the Gamecocks went for two, of course, sent a little message maybe to North Carolina they were going for two, and then you get to hit the field goal there to hit 360. Then you actually went on above that, had a couple of other PATs, a couple other field goals. Either way, you're Gamecock's all-time leading scorer. So the first question, I guess, is what did it mean as you hit that kick? Did it hit you in the moment? I know it had been talked about. You kind of had been on the verge of the record for a few games now, so I know you were aware of it, man. First of all, appreciate you being here, Parker. But second of all, what was it like just to see the ball go through, and did it hit you in that moment, man?
Yeah, thanks again for having me on. Really excited to be here. But yeah, to answer your question, it did kind of hit me in the moment a little bit, especially celebrating with Kai and with Nick and some of those guys on the field goal team. Just having that moment of joy, and then coming to the sideline and seeing Coach Beamer and Coach Chip, Coach Day, all the strength coaches like Coach Limbo, everybody kind of congratulate me on getting there. It was just so surreal. So something I'll always remember. But again, it was kind of tough to celebrate a ton in that moment because we had business to take care of. But yeah, after the game, it was a great moment to rejoice on kind of not too bad career and a really fun experience as a Gamecock.
So we were talking about this before we came on, and Wes referenced it too just now. They made you wait, right? Like they went for the 2-point play earlier. Does South Carolina, does Coach Limbo have a 2-point play drawn up where you're on the field in any capacity at all, or a fake field goal for you or anything like that? Any tricks that we will never get to see from Parker White? I know we saw one the one year.
Yeah.
And we all know what happened with that one, unfortunately. Were there any tricks that we did not get to see?
Yeah, we had a lot of the same stuff kind of put in that we ended up like kind of not calling, I guess, just based on game flow or the looks they were giving us for our normal field goals. But yeah, we had that same call. We'd kind of repped that a little bit. We'd also repped one going the other way, like more of a swing pass to the left that we had also kind of thought about doing that we ended up never actually running in a game, but we did practice them. We also had a couple of things where like we'd shift out, kind of like the fake PAT that we did in the game, like stuff like that, but for a field goal, like on a normal like 4th down situation. Would have been cool to like get one of those run, because the two 2-point conversions that we ran against, or the one against Eastern Illinois and the one against North Carolina, both worked to perfection. So would have been cool to do it, but we'd rather be prepared in those situations to run them than not need it. So, which is kind of what ended up happening.
Parker, I want to show a little bit of love to one of your teammates while we have you, man. You mentioned Kai Kruger already. I can't name all the other holders in the country, but I'm just telling everybody he's the best holder in the country. Like this guy, it's like noticeable how it doesn't matter where the snap is. It seems like he's going to snatch it and he's going to put it down. How important has Kai been? I know you've had a lot of good holders during, your time at South Carolina. How important have all those guys been to make it possible for you to get this record and to be able to hit the kicks that you do? I think it's often maybe overlooked by just maybe your average fan watching the game on TV.
Yeah, it's super important. A lot of work goes into the field goal operation, and those guys being snapper and holder put in, so much effort to make things easy for me. Starting off with Danny and Ben, 2 guys that were still working at football this fall. Ben was in the weight room, Danny being Coach Satterfield's GA. So have a great relationship with those 2 guys, and they were awesome to work with. then same thing with like Joseph and Matt Oliveira. Like they were great. Matt was a multi-year starter at Maryland. Joe's punting for the Jacksonville Jaguars this weekend. So really excited to kind of watch him. He obviously did great, but yeah, you can't really talk about the best holders in America this year without bringing up Kai Kroger. I know he didn't get the top 3 for like the Mortel award thing, but I mean, he deserved, he deserved to win it, honestly. Cause I mean, just when you cut the tape on and see kind of some of the higher snaps that he was able to get down, and it's really a testament to our special teams quality control guy, Stanton Weber, was always working with Kai and Alex and the other holders on like ball drills where he'd give them like low snaps and left and right and high. And they'd have to get him down and put him on like a little water bottle cap. So he repped that probably a few hundred times since January, just that one specific drill, in addition to other drills and stuff. But that one I think was super helpful. And I think it helped us win the game. Like we might not beat East Carolina, and we might not be bowl eligible if Kai Kroger doesn't do ball drills. And like I might not break the record if he wasn't such a good holder. So he's a dear friend of mine, and I'm so glad to have been able to have him for this year and last year.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you knew the name of the top holder in the country. I should have figured you did. Mortel Award, and definitely a travesty that he did not make it. So I know we wanted to go into your process a little bit more, but here's my question about that specifically. When there is a high snap, that can interrupt rhythm. What are you looking at when the ball is snapped? Do you even know if it's high or not upon the snap of the ball, or are you completely focused on a spot and it's Kai's job to get it there?
Yeah. So when I first started, my first, I think year or maybe even 2 years, I would look at the snap just because I wanted to keep my eye on the ball. Cause the coaches always say, keep your eye on the ball. So I wanted to kind of see it come in and see it get to the spot. But I've just kind of learned from my kicking coaches and from talking to other kickers across the country that that's not really like a good thing to do, because it takes your eye off the spot. Like you're more worried about the spot. You're not like, as a kicker, like you said, like you need to trust kind of your holder, like Kai being to like get the ball there, which he's gonna. So there's really no point of like watching the ball come in. Like you want to be focused on where you're going to plant and all, and like how you're going to hit the ball when it ultimately like does get there. But yeah, when there is like a higher snap, you can kind of see like the holder kind of go up to get it like higher than he normally would. Cause you can kind of see, like, if you're looking right at the spot, you can kind of see out of your peripheral, like kind of the way he's kind of catching it. So like when it goes way up and he kind of has to not leave his feet, but kind of leave like his stance a little bit to go higher, you can kind of tell when it's going to take it's probably like a 1/10 of a second longer. So I try to slow down on my approach a little bit in those situations, but it's kind of tough to adjust to. But yeah.
So I wanted to, let's kind of keep it there, Parker. We obviously have talked to you or heard from you in media settings, but never like necessarily like kind of one-on-one situation here. So I want for you to maybe, if you can, take the fans through like the step-by-step process of so let's say there's a third down and and Carolina's in field goal range, and you're sitting there, everybody's waiting to see if this third down gets converted. Are you while this third down's going on, are you still kicking into the net? Let's go step by step. At this point in the process, are you already like standing on the sideline getting ready to run out there the second coach says go out there? Or what are you doing at the first part of this process? It's 3rd and 6, you're in field goal range. Your guys, I'm sure, are probably watching, kind of being ready to go out there, right?
Yeah. So I kind of have like a very particular thing that like I'll kind of do. So like I'll hit into the net or whatever, get loose. So once we get across the 40-yard line or so, like when we're in field goal range, I'll kind of walk back over. So like I'll probably hit 2 or 3 kicks before I'll walk over to about 10 yards behind, maybe 15, like where the offense is, and just kind of wait there. And then once we get to that kind of 3rd and medium or whatever that you're kind of talking about, where if this is an incomplete pass or if we come up short, we're probably going to hit a field goal, I'll just kind of stand there. And I usually on like 1st and 2nd down, I don't like to have my helmet on. It's just, I just don't really like to wear it. So I'll just kind of stand there with it, or maybe I'll kind of have it on, but not buckled tight, just kind of like chilling, just to, I don't know, keep myself loose or whatever. And I'll maybe do a couple dry swings or something, maybe stretch a little bit or something if I still feel kind of tight or whatever, but just kind of hang out. And then once it gets to third down, say there's incomplete, I'll kind of start to buckle up both sides real quick on my helmet. I'll kind of walk like to the right on the sideline and look at Coach Beamer and Coach Limbo and kind of see if they'll do like the field goal sign or whatever for us to go kick. So I'll kind of jog out there. Well, actually, I try to walk. I'll maybe do like a brisk jog for a second to make sure we don't get like a delay of game. But as long as I know I'll have enough time, I walk to keep my heart rate down, because even just like a brisk jog can increase your heart rate, which you don't want to. Like, you kind of think of it like a sniper, how they like hold their breath so they stop their heart rate so that they can focus in on what they're doing. It's kind of the same thing with kicking. Like, I think is, so I'll walk just to like stay relaxed out there, then hit like one little dry swing, get the spot, like kind of with the holder, like 8 yards. And then, kind of show them with my toe, like where to go. And then I'll just take my steps and kick it.
Awesome, man. So they're holding up the 3. That means we're kicking the field goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is Coach Beamer or Coach Limbo, are they saying anything as they send you out there? Like, are they giving you any encouragement, or is it more just like, we're going to let Parker focus on, like, is anything said, or is it kind of like, hold up the 3, everybody get out there, and they're probably trying to make sure the right protection team is out there, making sure the right numbers are out there, I guess, too.
Yeah, so that's kind of their thing. And also like with Caius, make sure we have 11. So they'll kind of in charge of that and making sure the offense gets off the field. They usually talk for a second about going for it if it's kind of one of those situations. So they may say that, but then they'll go field goal, and they don't even really hardly look at me. Like, they know that I'm going to be ready to go out there, and they definitely don't say anything to me. That's like one of my pet peeves. I don't even know if I ever really told them that, but at least guys on the team, like, when they, like, I don't listen, like, if somebody will be like, hey, Parker, like, you got this one, like, I can't stand that. Like, it's kind of one of those things, like, where I just don't like that at all. Like I know I got it. Like, you don't need to tell me. Like, I don't mean to sound like cocky, but it's kind of just like my pet, like, peeve, weird thing that I just don't want anyone to really talk to me. I just want to kind of be kind of myself and just don't want any sort of outside like distraction. So they'll just hold the field goal, and I'll just go out there and nobody will say anything. And then we'll, high five after the fact or whatever. But yeah, they won't encourage me or anything like that. And I don't want them to.
Okay. So sorry, Chris, I got to complete this entire picture we're painting here. So you said Kai he's at 8 yards. Is that standard? Like, I've always heard 7, but I don't know if that's like he's at 8.
Well, yeah. So it kind of it depends on the snapper, like with the rotation of the ball. So I think it'll spin like maybe 3, or there's like a certain amount of like, because they're going to spin it like pretty much the same every time. At least like a good snapper, like a collegiate, like NFL level snapper will have the same amount of rotations. I think it's like 3 or 3.5 or so. So if you're a snapper, like, depending on how fast they really spin it, is like to where, like, so when the holder catches it in the same spot every time and then the ball is spinning the same time, in theory, to get the laces out, the only thing that would matter is the distance between like 7 and 8 yards. So if your holder is catching it out front and the snap's the same at 7 yards and the laces are back every time, you maybe scoot back to 7.5. And then if the laces are at like 9 o'clock, then you're like, okay, we need to go back to 8. And then if the laces are out pretty much every time, then that's kind of like your spot. So you kind of got to play with like with the distance a little bit. And then another perk is like with the height aspect of it, like with D-line right there. So it's harder for them. Like, if you feel good about your op time and like the edge, like, so scooting up will help with the edge rush. Like, if you're at 7 yards, you're worrying kind of more about like the D-line, the D tackles, like getting their hand up and blocking it. But if you're at 8, it's kind of like you're more prone to the edge rush. So if you have like a good op time, 8's probably a little bit better. But if you're a guy that maybe can't get as much height on it, then maybe like 7 might be better. But for us, it was kind of more like trying to get laces out. And also it's kind of just Coach Limbo, being our special teams coach, was kind of just like, you guys are going to try 8 and then just, well, that's what I like to do. So we tried doing 8 and it was working well. So we just kind of stuck with it.
So this is a highly detailed operation, like, that's been thought out. There's like hours and reps and reps and reps and reps that none of us have any idea about. So then you run out there, and what is the final part of this, my long question here, what is going through your mind? Are you like, let me just shut it all out? Are you more like, let me focus in, let me just focus on my spot? What take us in your helmet when, let's say it's a game winner, you're lining up. What's going on between your ears in those exact moments?
Yeah, so it's the same pretty much for every kick, like game winner, or like a PAT in the first quarter, or in the fourth quarter, like whatever the situation is. Again, like I said, with kind of like coming onto the field, like I'm just don't really want anyone to talk to me. I'm not really like thinking too much. Honestly, I'm kind of just, keep in mind of like where the ball is. Cause like a lot of time, what I was talking about with 8 yards too, is like, we'll go over. So if it's like, we overload one side, at least in college, like we did, I don't think they really do that in the pros, but they would like overload to say like, we're on the 20-yard line on like the left hash, then we'll move a lineman over to the right and then move like to the snapper's right foot. So I'll kind of be like, and usually that's like not only on the, like if it's a little bit inside the hash, like we'll still do it. Like only usually between the uprights is when we wouldn't go over. So like I'll be kind of looking, where they spotted the ball or whatever. So I can know like in my head, like kind of count 8 yards from where it is, and then kind of be thinking about the spot. And then that's kind of the only really thing I'm thinking about. And then just kind of maybe sometimes just kind of, I don't know, thinking like just kind of swing my swing and hit my ball, I guess. And just kind of, the other thing is like the target too, is like after you see a lot, like when kickers like look up, like nobody really like looks at like just like the uprights, like, oh, got to make this ball go through the uprights. Like everyone kind of will pick something like really small, because you've probably heard the saying like aim small, miss small. So I'll usually pick like something like one of the letters on an advertisement or something like behind the upright, like, or maybe like a light, like what I would do a lot of the time, the field goal and Williams-Brice going away from the student section, there'd be like a light fixture up in the zone or something. And that would be like my target. So I would kind of look at that and just kind of be like, all right, I'm going to not only like, get the ball to that, but try to like get my momentum going toward that and just get my follow through and really get my foot like toward that, which will, in turn bring the ball there. So just kind of like focusing on your target, I guess, is kind of the other main thing I'm thinking about when I'm taking my steps.
So obviously these past few minutes have illustrated how, clinical, basically, like the approaches that you have to take, the consistency level, and kind of the routine, the repetition. So I hate to bring these up, but when there are kicks that you've missed, why, like, do you go back and say, okay, this happened? Like, is it normally more of a miss hit? Is it more of a miscalculation? Do you see what I'm getting at? Like, what is it?
I think it kind of depends on the situation. Like, sometimes if it's like a real windy day, that may kind of like also kind of affect your mental as well as the actual like ball flight. Cause it's like, maybe in pregame you're hit like it's 10 miles an hour or something. When we had a decent amount of windy games this year, actually. The Florida game was pretty windy, but those were like some closer. Usually if you're like inside of 35 or even up to 40, like 10, 12 miles per hour wind's not going to do like too much, but maybe some kicks it will, like depending on how hard you hit the ball. Like if you really strike through it, it's going to cut through the wind. But if you kind of get under it a little bit, and that can just be kind of like a mechanical thing of, kind of just like not like, like no one's going to be perfect. So it's kind of just like an imperfection in your swing, I guess, like maybe hitting the ground a little bit, or maybe your steps were just maybe an inch longer that time, which made you plant like too deep, like downfield. So you didn't hit the ball as well. Maybe you hit like the left side a little too much. And so, I mean, it can be like a lot of like different little technical things, but yeah, I mean, sometimes like overthinking the win can be like a mental side, or maybe like a physical side would be like, man, I'm kind of, tight today and like my right hip. So like, I don't know, I feel like I'm swinging across a lot and not swinging downfield, because I just kind of feel tight from just soreness or like whatever it is or something like that. Can also kind of like, those things can kind of get in your head too, a little bit, but yeah, it just kind of depends on the situation. But yeah.
Working with Pete Limbo, and you mentioned Stanton Weber, what is that like? I'll ask you that just very generically. You mentioned the drill that Kai was doing where they're planting balls on top of bottle caps and hitting spots and everything. But Pete Limbo seems very detail oriented, kind of like you. So give us some, I don't know if you have some stories or just some anecdotes to pass along to us about his detail level and just how he is as a coach.
Yeah. So he's a lot different than the other two special teams coaches I had, being Coleman Hutzler and Kyle Krantz. So those two guys were a lot more hands off, because they had some responsibilities on the defensive side of the ball that they'd be occupied with. So they would kind of, let us do our own thing. But Coach Limbo, his main priority was special teams. So when we weren't doing a special teams period in practice, he was with us 24/7, which is not something that I've really had before. Like even in high school, like I've always been able to kind of like do my own thing, which at times can be beneficial because I'm getting to work on like kind of what I think I need to work on. And then everyone's kind of doing their own thing, where like we had Coach Limbo inside, like I'd be kind of maybe like shagging balls for Kai punting, which isn't necessarily helping me, but it is kind of like, giving my leg a break. So I'm not like over kicking or whatever. But yeah, he had us doing like a lot of like, drills that were kind of foreign to me, where like getting, like old school stuff, like getting like PVC pipe down on the ground for kickoff steps to have the proper angle to go like right or left to put the ball in the numbers, or like doing some of the other stuff like I have done, like doing like height drill where we will go like 3 yards deep in the end zone and try to kick it like above the crossbar, just make sure we're hitting it high enough, or like sideline accuracy drill, like trying to hit the, you're like parallel with like the upright, trying to hit the side of it. So just doing all those kind of things, like I think really helped me develop a lot this year. And I'm super grateful for like their work ethic, because it only, pushed me to be better. And Coach Stanton, he's like a great guy, and ran all of Kansas State special teams in 2020, and maybe even before that, I'm not quite sure, but he does a great job and works super hard. And all of our, meetings, like our PowerPoint slides were all like super detailed, and they're both great coaches, and they've definitely helped me a lot, and I owe them a lot.
You Parker, mentioned your development, and you were talking, about this year since Coach Limbo got here, but it's kind of amazing when you look back at just your overall development, like from the time you got to South Carolina to this point now where you broke the scoring record. Mm-hmm. I know there's a lot of things you can attribute that to and credit, but was there maybe a specific turning point for you when you look back in your career where things really, really started clicking?
Yeah, I would say like at some point. So after my first year, I wouldn't say there was like one specific day or anything like that, but after my freshman year, I was just like, man, this is not going to cut it. Like, I gotta like, be a pro and look myself in the mirror and see what I need to improve on. So working with like Dan Orner, he's been like super helpful, helping me, turn into like a better kicker. And he's been super great. So I don't know, just kind of at some point I just kind of woke up, in that off season of 2018, and like I saw that like Shane Hines was going to come in, the grad transfer from Kent State, and I was just like, I really want this job. Like I'm going to work every single day and make sure that I, refine kind of how I'm doing things. And I remember a quote Hutzer would always say. He'd say like the literal like Webster's dictionary definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So I was kind of thinking about that. It's like, man, I'm kicking the same way my freshman year and I'm not kicking well. Like I need to change. So like I changed my steps, I started doing like the one plant cleat, one regular cleat. And then I, just paid attention a lot more like to the details, and wasn't like just kind of like I don't know. I guess I just took it more seriously than I did like as a freshman. I just kind of got blindsided a little bit by like college football and what was expected of me. And I don't know, I was kind of ready to just kick off my freshman year and got thrown into field goals. And I definitely should have done better. But I don't know. I just at some point I kind of just like had to be a man and grow up and learn how to handle my business in a better way.
I want to sort of turn this back to the actual record here at the end, Parker. And what did it mean, I guess, first of all? I think there was the video where Elliot had sort of sent you a congratulations. And it got me thinking, man, if you look back at the last like decade plus or so at South Carolina, yourself, record holder, Elliot Fry, you go back, Ryan Succop is still in the NFL. Mm-hmm. In between there, Spencer Lanning was an outstanding place kicker and punter for South Carolina. A lot of programs struggle to find consistent kickers. You're a part of a pretty cool little fraternity there as well. So what did it mean to just have the record, but also to have the record among some guys who have just been, are really good dudes, but are also very, very successful at doing what you do.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It feels like, I don't know, I like it, like I'm blessed with everything I've gotten in or I've received and the opportunities that have came my way, but it does feel a little cheap sometimes with getting the extra year that those guys only had in 4 and having like an extra year here. But like I talked to Coach Muschamp on the phone the other night. I guess as he's getting prepared for the national championship, he called me about the Shrine Bowl and the record and all. And we talked about that, and I just kind of told him, like, I'm just playing the hand I was dealt. Like, like the good Lord blessed me with the 5th year. So, I'm going to take it. Having that record from Elliott, I'm sure he's a little bitter about that I got a whole extra season, but it is what it is. And I'm going to take advantage of it if they're going to give it to me. So, it's definitely special to be, kind of considered in that group of guys, like the fraternity, I guess, of Gamecock kickers over the past, 15 years or whatever, since Ryan and like Spencer and those guys that I've talked to. Like I met in the at the Duke's Mayo Bowl. We went to the Panthers-Bucks game, and me along with some of the other specialists met up with Ryan after and talked to them after the game. And he's doing real well. He's killing it, and Elliott's killing it right now too. So hoping that this next year or so I'll be able to have some success like those guys.
Yeah, so that leads us right up to it, Parker. Well, what is next? Like you said, you got the Shrine Bowl. Where, what's the next part of the process as far as training, getting ready for pro day, and how does this process like play out moving forward? Of course, getting ready for hopefully that NFL opportunity for you, man.
Yeah, so I'll just be training in Columbia. Coach Beamer was awesome to be able to let me use the weight room and stuff, even though I'm not going to be on the team anymore. So got my card still working so I can get in there and really lift good and stretch and do everything I need to be able to succeed and be able to use the indoor, which is really helpful for me. So I'll, just be training up here, just getting ready, kind of doing my own thing a little bit, maybe work out with like some of the like Ben Asbury, who's still working in the weight room. I'll probably work out with him a lot. And Coach Settergren, they've been great and helping me with like some kicker specific stuff like already a little bit. So just going to keep going with that. And then training up in Charlotte a little bit, kicking with some coaches I know and stuff. So it's going to be awesome. And really excited for the Shrine Bowl, going out there with Nick. Him and I are rooming together in Vegas at the Luxor Hotel, that big pyramid one. So I'm super excited about that opportunity. Going to have a week to show what I can do in front of NFL scouts and coaches and stuff. So it's going to be pretty sweet. I'm looking forward to it.
Is any basketball a part of the plan moving forward? There's that video of you dunking, man. Is that a common occurrence, or was that just sort of like, hey, I'm going to show these guys that the kicker has some ups too?
Yeah, so that was the only video. So before that interview at the Duke's Mayo Bowl, I was talking with Michael Debates like about it, and he's like, dude, Jabari just told them all that you were like the most sneaky athletic on the team. He's like, he said you could like dunk and all. I was like, yeah, I can dunk. I'm 6'5". It'd probably be bad if I couldn't. So he was like, dude, you got a video? And he's like, I'll send it out to them. I was like, yeah, let me find one. The only video I could find was like from 27. It may have even been before it might have been my first spring. It was probably, the video is like 4 or 5 years old. It was the only one I could find on my phone. So I think I've like sent Snapchats, but just not saved them or like whatever.
Yeah.
I don't really video it that often, but yeah, if I'm going to play pickup, and I'm, nice and loose and somebody's under the rim or something, they might be in trouble if I got the ball in my hands.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. Parker, we wish you all the success in the world, man. We appreciate the time here. Again, we also want to thank 360 Clean for sponsoring this NIL deal through Garnet Trust. And Parker, like I said, man, good luck. And hopefully we'll be hearing from you. Let's say you come on one of the Gamecock Central shows, let's say this time next year when you're kicking for an NFL team. How about that?
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. That'd be awesome.
Awesome, man. Again, that's Parker White. He's Chris Clark. I'm Wes Mitchell. Appreciate y'all joining us. Everybody have a good one.